shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 won't you let the light shine through. Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through. Eyes in the sky, gazing far into the night. I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you, 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 for you.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a spur of the moment live stream on this beautiful Saturday evening of football. just want to say congratulations to Liverpool fans. It could be your year. Finally, it could be your year. And hello to everybody that's joining me this evening in complete and utter shock. Because never have I been so surprised. And I'm taking nothing away from Norwich because Norwich played bloody well. And wow, it would appear that I got it all wrong. And, you know, I said I wouldn't regret the wild card. And I honestly don't regret doing the wild card. Despite what you might say, I don't regret it. I had the gut feeling. I went with my gut feeling. Hello to Jake Seddon. Hello to Anil, Ian Anderson, Yassine, Simon Andreasen, Cameron Rawcliffe, Marco, Ian Anderson. Thank you. I've said your name twice, Ian. I don't know why. But thank you for being here this evening. And I know that I know a few people might want to come on and talk about their game week. By all means, jump into the waiting room and come and share with me how your game week went. I don't intend for this to be a very long podcast, but I just wanted to just get the game. Obviously, just to kind of digest the events of today. It's been an absolutely incredible day of football, really, an unpredictable game of football. I'm just going to quickly post. So yeah, this thing's happened. I know a lot of people are in a similar sort of boat, and a lot of people captained Sterling. A few people captained Kevin De Bruyne. A few people had the vice captain as Salah, who owned De Bruyne. So I feel for all you guys that were pressured to go with a Man City asset this week because of the fixture. Looked too good to ignore. I want to say well done to the people that held true to Pookie. I pretty much don't deserve this. I've actually hidden him. I don't deserve this man anymore, really. So we're going to be giving this away. This guy here, we're going to give him away because I don't deserve to have him anymore. I took him out of my team, and he's proved me wrong. So we're going to give him away. Bring him back. I knew very well that once I did this wild card that I was pretty much gambling and risking. It was a defining moment in the season. I know it sounds over dramatic. It's only game week 5, but the way I've set my team up now is the way it's going to be going forward. I'm not going to be taking point hits. Certainly not to get Tammy Abraham in. Certainly not to get Pookie in. I'm kind of set my shop up now for the next 3 to 4 game weeks. Obviously, Adrian's probably going to play against Chelsea, so I'll probably have him in the goal. But yeah, you roll the dice, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the result. Hi, Nis. How you doing? Our triple captain, Daily Pool, says... I triple captain Salah to make up the points on the City players, and I didn't have because I thought they would score a bundle. I mean, the triple captainship isn't the be all and end all of FPL, but it can really pay off when you nail it right. And this week, I know there's a few people that would have been tempted to hit the triple captain on a Man City player. I said that I would probably have consider doing it for Aguero, if not done it on Aguero this game week. So yeah, Captain Mane and Pookie did the business this week. Cameron Rawcliffe says, yeah, absolutely. That's again the real winners are the people that held true to the Cantwell and the Pookie play. Basically the template. And obviously, if you did get Tammy Abraham in, you've done really well. I just want to say again, if you're just joining the stream, this is just my kind of reaction to the game week. I'm feeling a little bit indifferent as it stands. I believe I've done quick maths. I haven't done it like I believe I'm 4 points down on the previous -4 team before the wild card. So I'm 4 points down as it stands. However, I would have had Digne, Ceballos, and another one to play over my current Digne and Iwobi. So yeah, I'm looking like I'm going to probably drop 6 to 8 points, God forbid, up to 10 points off of my pre-wildcard team. So that, to me, that's a massive disappointment. But again, you should try and take a little bit of positivity away from it. And a wildcard shouldn't be judged like I look at it like I try and take the positives. I shouldn't judge my wildcard just on this week. Aguero's got a great fixture next week. Man City have got a great fixture next week away at Watford. So yeah, it could all kind of not balance it out, but it could pay back the points I've lost this week. Can I just say, me and FPL were bantering, and he was saying Captain Mane is stupid based on the history. Why you got a triple captain Sterling? My Captain Mane will go bad. Well, yeah, honestly, it's like you can overthink things in FPL, can't you? The Cape says, I stuck with Pookie. I had a feeling that City defense will be leaking goals. They were awful, weren't they? What was City's defense doing today? Otamendi. Shocking, wasn't it? I can only imagine what Pep must have said, or must have said at the end of the game to them. God, you must have ranted at half time. Watford's going to win 4-1. Calm down. The key to FPL, I'll be completely honest. I didn't think I'd be doing a stream this evening, and that's because I just thought, you know what, the best thing for me to do is just switch off, completely forget about FPL, watch a movie, just relax. I noticed Steve-O had some issues with his internet, and he didn't get to end his stream, which was disappointing. But he's in a really awkward position, guys. He can't just solve his internet. His internet is kind of tied into where he lives in a multi-occupancy building, so he can't just sort his internet out. It's not as straightforward as that. I noticed some people were commenting on it saying better internet. It's not. Honestly, he's looking at ways to try and improve it, and it might end up being a cable, but it's really hard to get a cable to his modem. So it's not like me. I've got a cable going straight to fiber, so I should be okay all the time. But I know this is the thing, right? I know that there was people in Discord, saying that Man City wouldn't do anything, and people were getting scared and moving their captaincies around and things like that. And you should really not bow into the pressure of other people just because they're saying that. But I know that someone did benefit from it, who switched the captain from Sterling to Salah, and that was Cy Bellamy. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying it. He basically was watching a conversation that was going on in Discord. And he's and after a period of time, he switched his captaincy off of Sterling to Salah. So well done him. Thoughts on Mendy starting next week? Honestly, now Hicks. Honestly, Zinchenko. He didn't look very comfortable today. Neither did Otamendi. I think Pep can do anything now. I'll be interested to see what Pep does. I got a feeling he may punish one or two players. I really, really, really think he could just stick Otamendi on the bench and put Mendy back in, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. And I try not to guess. Most of us don't mind refreshing 10 times if it means if we get to watch Steve-O stream. Well, you have to put up with me. I'm afraid Steve-O's not here. But Steve-O mentioned that he wanted to know what I felt about my wildcard, and I don't feel that bad, but I don't feel good. I feel disappointed. But then the only saving grace is that people around me, I mean, I've dropped in the cash league, I've dropped in the rankings, but they're still within touching distance. You're talking 5-10 points, you know, you're not talking like 20, 30, 40, 50 points away. So it's just one of those things. Hey Dereco, use my wild card as well. Thankfully mine went a bit better. Can't speak on Discord tonight, heading to the gym. Have a great night. No worries, Dereco. Thank you for letting me know, and have a good time at the gym, dude. And I'm glad your wildcard worked out. Daily Llama says the wildcard players are sorted for the next few weeks, not just for this week. Yeah, I mean, I've got no choice but to stick with my team, really. But I'm not angry at my team. It's just been a really weird game week where results have been weird. Manchester United kept a clean sheet, which was great. David De Gea deservedly got a clean sheet. Wan-Bissaka. Liverpool pretty much were the only real. Every result there is quite surprising in a way. I mean, Spurs winning 4-0. Chelsea, I would never have said that they would have won 5-2 away at Wolves. Spurs 4-0. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not too surprised because Spurs with Son back in their team. It's and I've got a cup of tea. If you ever had a bad game week, just make yourself a cup of tea. It makes everything better. Sheffield United losing 1-0 to Southampton. I mean, maybe I was a little bit blinkered because I owned Lundstrom, but I was just thinking that they could easily. Well, not easily, but I was convinced that they would be able to keep out Southampton. Brighton, Burnley 1-1. Yeah, I mean, that's just, you can't rely on Burnley defenders, as per Stevo and what he said. KDB should have started Alan Ward. I think Pep got a little bit clever today. You're scared of City rotation, Cameron. I think it's less likely to rotate purely because Pep's now behind Liverpool. And Pep will always want to play the strongest team. He knows what his strongest team is. And that's with Aguero in it. That's with Kevin De Bruyne in it. That's with Sterling in it. I don't think he's going to try and be smart again. Mupai's on fire. Yeah, show me the money. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to quickly glance over again on the Challenge League. Marlon Moore, 39 points. Pookie in, Mount in, Salah captain, 39. It's a solid score at the moment. Got McGinn to play with Digne and Heaton in goal. You know, it's people like this that I'm trying to catch. And yeah, I was quite confident when I looked at Marlon's team that I could catch him, but it's just weird, isn't it? He benched Zinchenko. He must have thought that Pookie would have scored. Well, he obviously did bench Zinchenko, and maybe Pep wishes he'd benched Zinchenko. But Ian Rose, second. No Salah, no problem. 23 points. Got to be really disappointed, Ian. Still got Pepe to play, though. Pepe, Moise Keane, Digne, Heaton. Yeah, still recoverable. Game week is still recoverable. It's just very disappointing that your captain Sterling, like most people, well, like a lot of people with Sterling, just weren't. Well, I think nobody expected that today from City. Show me the Mane. Just 43 points. Robertson in defence, captain Salah. By the way, guys, if you want to come into the waiting room, we're going to quickly have a quick chat with you. Let's talk about how your game week went. Mupai. Yeah. He's a great option that's outside the template. You know, it's at that price point, is he worth it? I would say yeah, but the fixtures are not the best. I mean, the Newcastle away, I can see him doing something in that game. I really can. But then after that, Chelsea away, possibly. Tottenham, it gets quite hard. Aston Villa, then it starts to get a few greens. But yeah, I think if you want to catch some, want to close in on the game, I mean on the rankings, then it's players like Mupai that are going to propel you up if they do well, because they're low ownership. I mean, what's the ownership of him? Is that 0.6, guys? I can't even see that. It is, isn't it? 0.6 of the game own him. That's ridiculous. So my team for next week, not so confident now, especially with Loughton. Burnley, I wouldn't be confident with Burnley against at home to Norwich, but I will be playing Loughton. I certainly won't be starting Soyuncu at home. But other than that, and Lundstrom, okay, Lundstrom and Loughton, I mean, I still think that I've got a pretty sorted team. I think Liverpool will keep out Chelsea. It's yet to be seen, obviously. They are leaking goals, but it's got a feeling. Or maybe it's just delusion. What do you guys think? Fantastic last game, PL and otherwise. Abraham made an own goal. Yeah, he did. Marco. Hat trick with 11 points. Plus bonus 3, so 14 points. Devastated by my wild card. Brought in Aguero and captained him. Well, you've made the right captain. Well, he scored. Could have been worse. I still think Aguero, KDB and Sterling combo will pay off next week. Rohit, I mean, I'm thinking the same as you, my friend. Thinking the same as you. Abraham injury, I don't know. I didn't watch any of the 3 o'clock games, and I've not had time to catch up on any of the highlights. I've been looking after my daughter who's now asleep and tidying the house. So like when Steve-O was streaming, I could only hear bits and pieces of it. There was quite a funny bit in the stream. I don't know if you guys noticed. There was a bit of in Steve-O's stream, because I was upstairs. I wasn't watching anything. I wasn't listening to anything. And he said Aguero had scored, but actually it was I think it was the second goal from Norwich. And I was like, oh my god, Aguero, but it wasn't. So yeah, he kind of psyched me out there. Let's see if we can get a caller on. We've got Ezo in the waiting room. Hey, hello Ezo, how you doing?
Hi there, hi.
Hi, how you doing, buddy? How's your game week been?
Now, it's a tricky one, because now I've been like looking at all my mini leagues and like the different managers' points, and like hearing from you and everything. Part of me kind of thinks that I did quite well, but at the start I think I did terrible. So I got 43 points, and my initial reaction to that is that I've been getting like 50, like basically bang average scores every week except for the first week. And this week I only have Keane to play tomorrow, so I got 43 points today. So I was just like, well, this is just like gone so bad.
So hang on, you've posted your team here. It's not the triple captain, is it?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but I don't know. I think I
yeah,
don't know how I did, to be honest. I don't know really. I need to see what the average is and the
I mean, 43 points is a high score for this game week. It's just it is for this game week.
Yeah.
It's well above the average.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, let's just double check what the average is. I think it was like 37, I think it was.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, no, never mind. It's gone up because of bonus points. Okay, so the average is 40 to 41 points. So you're above the average. You're 43 points. You're above the average score. So
I've just gone up to 50 as well. I've just checked.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, because your bonus points weren't put in. Yeah. So, yeah, you're fine. I mean, you're fine. You've had a good game week, dude. It's just yeah, it's better. It's better than others. It's just that you've used your triple captain chip, and it all depends how much value you put on that.
I really gambled there, to be fair. Like, I was watching the Man City game, and I was just like, this couldn't have gone any worse. And right, this might sound like really bad. I want to know like what you think about this, because I'm a United fan. and obviously, like, part of me was kind of like, if Sterling could get like a goal or assist, that would, I guess, help the FPL team. But it's also not great that Man City have lost to Norwich because, you know, from January onwards last year, Man City and Liverpool didn't lose, and I just think that this game, I know it's only like 5 game weeks into the season, but it could be a big factor for Liverpool winning the league this year, for like if they were to. So that's why I'm kind of just like, it's not great, the result.
It's one of those where, like, to be honest with you, it's just a bad game week and you just got to move on. But for you, it depends on how you look at it, really. I try to look at things like glass half full, not half empty. And okay, you've used your triple captain. That you've just got to be smart about. You know, the thing is, I've always said the triple captain, and a few of my friends say the same thing as well. It's like, it's not as great a chip as people think. Because if it's a popular captain pick that you're going to triple captain anyway, then you're only just going to get that score again on top. So unless they score like a hat trick, or 4 goals, you don't really get too much of a benefit. The real benefit, I believe, is on the free hit and on the bench boost can give you more points than a triple captain.
Yeah.
But I certainly know that we had a bench boost played this week, which was pretty questionable. But anyway, that's I'm just looking over the rest of your team. You had Mason Mountain, you got Keane to play. I mean, it's, how do you feel going forward with that team?
I don't. Let's put it this way. I don't feel as happy as I did like 2 weeks ago before. I think the international break.
I think I'd be happy with that team going forward.
I don't know. It's just like Zinchenko looked so poor today. He looked like slow on the ball in the game, and I just think that he might be one that might not play many games.
Could be on the chopping block now, couldn't he? Could be.
Yeah.
Mendy's knocking at the door, and Pep's not going to have been happy watching that performance today. And Zinchenko did not have a great game. A lot of Man City players didn't have the best of games, to be fair. But Otamendi, I mean, God.
Oh, he was. I don't know what he was doing.
He just seemed slow. He just seemed like not with it. But yeah, I think for the people mentioning Aubameyang in chat as well, it's like Arsenal have yet to play, and there's people that have got Aubameyang, there's people got Pepe. I mean, they could easily. So
the average will probably go up.
Exactly. But no, I wouldn't be too disheartened about it, to be honest with you. It's done now. You've used your chip now. You've got to concentrate on your team going forward. I don't think it's a bad team at all, really. It's just, just don't make a rush move of getting rid of Zinchenko. Just wait to see what Pep says.
Okay.
Yeah. Pep's not got much choice but to play Stones and Otamendi for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Well, he hasn't got much choice.
Wait, the boys only for 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's a tough one for them, to be fair.
I mean, unless he plays like Fernandinho there or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you were gonna get one of either Stones or Otamendi in, even though Otamendi had a poor game, then who would you actually bring in?
What? So for Zinchenko?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
This is an awkward price point. It's a really awkward price. I was looking at it in the wildcard. There's no real. I mean, it depends on if you want to get a player that for that same sort of value, or if you want to downgrade him.
Yeah, I mean,
have you got any money in the bank?
No, nothing at all.
I would just keep hold for the moment, mate. I really would. I wouldn't go rushing to get rid of him. I don't know how close Mendy is to being anywhere near match fit. I don't think he's match fit. So I think Pep would be very irresponsible to throw Mendy into a game, start him. I think it's more likely that he'll get subbed on. Because he's not fully match fit yet. And even Mendy's not known for his defense. I mean, he's not a great defender.
Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, I wouldn't go worrying about your team. It looks good.
Yeah, Cool, thank you. Just one last
Yeah.
thing is I've banked obviously a transfer, and you're saying like not to worry, so I might not. But obviously, what about like is Liverpool are playing Chelsea next week? I didn't know if you think I should stick with the 2 Liverpool defenders or I should get one of them out.
Well, obviously, Robertson's in there because you feel that he's got the attacking threat as well, which he rightly got. He got an assist. He could have got a goal today.
Yeah.
Would I get one of the? You got Mason Mount against them, so I'm hopeful that Liverpool. I've got double Liverpool defense. But I don't want to take any out.
Yeah.
It all depends, mate. If you want to spend a free transfer, and it's all a case of who would you bring in? Luca Digne?
Possibly, or I mean, I don't know.
You've already got.
I
Keane.
don't know, man.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that you should stick with it and roll the transfer. That's what I think.
Yeah. So I think then I'll have 3 transfers, and then I might look to maybe.
Wait, you've got. So you've got a free transfer now. So you have 2
I've
free
got 2.
transfers. You've got 2 at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You don't get 1, 2.
Oh, do you not?
No. So yeah. Okay. Well, in that case, you can either decide. Well, it'd be crazy to get rid of Mount. So yeah, possibly move out one of the Liverpool defenders then.
Yeah.
Just have a look to see who you'd want to bring in. Who's got nice fixtures? Burnley got nice fixtures, but they're not looking likely to get clean sheets. And if you're looking to downgrade Matip, you could always just play 3 at the back. You know, who's on your bench?
I've got Cantwell.
Play Cantwell.
Oh, I know.
But if you want to do a transfer, it all depends. If you don't want to waste a free transfer, do you? You want to.
I want to get Abraham in, so I'll have 3 up front.
Right. Well, you could always see. I think Barnes could be a nice switch to Abraham, but then you'd have to downgrade Matip. Maybe just go to a 4.5 or something.
Yeah, it's tricky because it's like I want to keep hold of Pookie at Barnes at the same time because they have great fixtures now, and it's like I don't know, it's just you can't. It's for me.
You can't have more. Can't have more. No.
No.
Yep. But yeah, come on to the Sunday surgery where we can talk about it a bit more then. But I'm gonna go grab Statman on now. Thank you, Izo.
Awesome.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Good evening, Statman. How you doing, buddy? Good evening. Statman, can you hear me?
Yep, mate, loud and clear. How's it going?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I've had a real awful game week, considering I'm on wild card, but it's been a pretty awful game week for a lot of people. How about yourself?
61 with 3 to play.
You're one of the people that haven't had a bad game week. Have you posted your team, Statman, in the Rate My Team? In fact, we should probably make a new channel just for the podcast, actually, so we don't have to go through all the other Rate My Teams that we see in the Discord channel. That's probably a good idea. If you could just, or whereabouts are you on the in the Challenge League?
Near the top of the second page.
Okay, well you can be going. You'll be getting a big arrow this week, aren't you?
Hopefully, but I did kind of squander my triple captain, so that's the only 4 point. But I've never had a triple captain return anything more than.
What's your team name?
The usual.
Oh, there. I found you. I thought it was Statman, but I couldn't find you. Right. Yeah. Okay. So you triple captain Aguero. Okay. So 61.
Yeah, because I've got Cantwell coming off the bench for Montoya, so that works out pretty well.
Yeah.
It just happened twice now because I got the Lundstrom off the bench, and now I get Cantwell off the bench, so the luck is coming my way a bit now.
That is very fortunate. Well done. And you'll be probably on the first page, well into the first page now of the Cash League, I'd imagine.
Hopefully past Evo. I think he was only a few points ahead of us, so that was the main one I was chasing. But yeah, I haven't seen many of the games. I watched the Liverpool game live before bed, so that was good to see Mane pick up the points. And then I got up and I just seen clips to the City game and I didn't know what was going on. Like, you know, the Otamendi lackluster pass and that, it looked like it was a training session or something. Like, because I didn't have commentary, I was just like, what is going on? And when City scored it was mental, because they were running back to the halfway line with the ball, and I'm thinking, why are they doing that? And I'm thinking they definitely can't be losing. And then I seen the score and I was like, oh no. So
it was for the bits of the game that I watched, it was just I mean, I've got to hand it to Norwich. They came with they turned up with a plan and they executed it perfectly. And City were not ready for it. City weren't ready for the counter attack. City weren't ready for Timo Pukki.
Unbelievable.
And I just think that now I'm going forward without him. I've got a big hole in my team now where Pukki's left, and will I rue the day that I wildcarded him out my team? And that's the question. Obviously today
I think everyone will. I just can't believe after one blank, you know, a bloke that scored the same as Sterling, 2 more than Salah, was getting pulled out of teams. Because after the City game, his fixtures
especially when I brought him in for 6.5.
Exactly, same as me. So, but you also had Abraham, didn't you, on your pre-wildcard hit?
Yeah.
Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah.
Oh mate, you gotta be feeling that this morning. I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, but that must hurt, man.
It's
Patrick Hero.
I just think that it will balance itself out in the FPL day. I mean, the thing is that I shouldn't react to this. I shouldn't knee-jerk to this. I should just leave it, because I'm happy with my team next week, and you know, I think City can do the job at Watford. I know I said that again. I said that today, but they've got to respond to that. Pep's gonna.
That's what I was thinking. You're going to see a backlash against Watford, so all the City holders don't snap transfer people out, because you could see a demolition job.
Yeah, it was a freak result. I mean, the majority of the possession was with Man City. They just were pretty bad in the build-up. Aguero just wasn't getting really much service at all. But the Norwich were closing. Norwich were just doing great jobs of closing down spaces. And
doing the simple stuff.
And the fact that they had like a makeshift defense and they did it as well, they made it look so easy. And I don't know whether to turn around and say City were just dreadful or Norwich just had a game plan and they executed it perfectly. I think it was a bit of both, to be honest. And talking about knee jerk, if Aubameyang performs this game, would you bring in Aubameyang earlier to avoid price rises? Arsenal attacking assets seem like a safer bet now, given that Lacazette is injured.
No, I wouldn't.
I probably would keep Aguero for the Watford game, and then possibly look at maybe changing him out after that game. I just can't. I'm just trying to stick to my plan, and that's my plan.
Yeah, you got to.
Yeah.
What was your total then? Because I haven't seen it.
My total. I'm on 34 points.
With who to play?
With Iwobi and Digne.
Right.
So
it's not over yet.
It's not over, but it's almost over. I mean, everyone's got Digne, so it's just purely on Iwobi. I mean, if Iwobi does something fluky and gets a brace or something, then yeah, I could be having a great. It could be a great end to the week, but I'm certainly not expecting anything. Disappointed with Dan James. You know, maybe I was over expecting him, but I don't think he had a good game. I didn't watch the United game. I'm going to watch it back on highlights, but I don't think he had the best of games. He got a yellow card as well. But yeah, it's no controversial VAR this weekend that I know of as well. So apart
from in the Liverpool game, Matip was dragged down arm around the neck, which was pretty blatant, which would have been a
I saw a few replays of that, and I think that.
What did you think?
At first glance, I thought, yeah, that's probably going to be a penalty on the VAR. But then it was kind of like, if you watch, he kind of was backing into the defender at the same time originally, and then yes, there was obviously the arm, but then it was kind of like, I don't know, it was like a coming together of players, and then I don't think it was enough for VAR to overturn it. I know that we've said it loads, and I think that do you think that would have been a penalty in the Spanish league?
I probably didn't see as many replays as you.
No,
but
but it would have. I know it sounds silly, but it's the referees in the Premier League. They have a higher threshold, it seems, on penalties.
Yeah, definitely.
And any other league, show me the Mane says it. Any other league, that's a penalty. I mean, I own Matip, so that would have been great for me. But I don't know. I just think that you see that sort of thing happen like every week, and it wasn't like throwing him to the ground. It was a contact there, and it was like his arm was around, but it just didn't seem like enough for a penalty. But that's just my opinion, and this is the problem with VAR, is that it's a human, subjective sort of it's a subjective opinion that someone looks at back on a video screen multiple times and they make a decision. So it's still not going to be solving all this controversy, I'm sure. It was even a pen in Hackney Marshes, says Tay. I mean, it would have been a very soft penalty. I don't know. I don't think it was enough myself to be a penalty, but that's just me. They can't keep up with the game. I think that this weekend was better than last game week, put it that way, for VAR.
Definitely.
But they know that they've got to improve, because they've been dreadful up till now. They are, Simeon, I agree. They are scared to overrule the ref, but they've admitted to 4 mistakes up until now. Maybe they're looking to try and change things. But Statman, you've had a pretty damn good week, dude. By all means, come on the Sunday Surgery tomorrow night after the games tomorrow, and take us through the remainder of your team's points and where you stand in the cash league. I look forward to it.
Will do, mate. I'll catch you then.
Cheers, dude. Thank you ever so much.
Nice one, mate.
Yeah, take care, mate. We're gonna quickly go through a couple of. We've got Phillip. Phillip, you're now on air, but you've muted yourself and deafened yourself. 5 mistakes. That's probably funny. Okay, yeah. Phillip, are you there? You want to unmute yourself and deafen yourself? Hello, Phillip. How are you doing?
Hey, Joe. How you going, mate?
Not the best game week, would you say?
Okay. And I think you're still in a right position. You have Aguero next week. They might bounce back. Go off him.
Okay, but
you're all right.
So it's not all doom and gloom then?
Okay. I don't think so.
Can we talk about your team?
Yeah, I posted at 8:40.
So you must have been as shocked as I was when watching bits of that City game. We all knew that. I mean, Norwich was set up for one thing, and that's to attack in football. But City pretty much gifted them 2 of the goals, didn't they?
Yeah, I think Pep got his selection wrong today. The pitch was a bit small, so wasn't a lot of space for like those quick type of wingers, and probably De Bruyne would have been a good player to play today.
For you, what points are you on?
64, I think. I don't know if you've got a.
I've got a screenshot of just your point. Yeah, I haven't totaled them up. I was just going to ask you, but you obviously got Son in your team, Mane in your team, Mount in your team, Cantwell in your team. I mean, it's just a great week for you. Aguero captain. I mean, it's a really good week. You've got to be happy.
Yeah, I did the -4, which was controversial last week. Sterling to Son. Who else did I brought in? I brought in.
That Sterling to Son move is paid off, isn't it?
Anderson to Kevin De Bruyne, but it's what it is. It's a +10 from a -4, so I'm happy.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. That's no, you've really done a good job of setting your team up. You've got Cantwell in, Mount, Mane, De Bruyne, Son, Aguero, and Hart. I mean, Allaire is still yet to play, and who knows what points he can get away at Aston Villa. He's looking like a top player for West Ham, isn't he?
Yeah, I just like West Ham's front four. Close, pacey, and I can just see goals and striker because I want power midfield, so I just want a little bit of coverage from West Ham. So Haller's going to be my option, and probably bank this week.
Yeah, and of course you've got Digne to play as well, like a lot of people. I mean, that's just a great game week for you, mate. It's going to be a massive green arrow. Well done to you. And going forward, you've pretty much set your team. You're surely going to bank a transfer, aren't you?
Banking this week,
yeah,
and probably bank next week and do a -8 in game week 8 or -12 maybe.
And who would you get out?
So it would probably be triple Leicester, maybe.
It's not a bad shout.
Maybe.
No, I mean the thing with that team. First thing I want to ask you actually is, you've got Mane, and you're not worried about not owning Salah. I know it's a silly question today, of course, but going forward, are you confident that Mane can not just keep up but possibly outscore Salah going forward?
Me, last year, Mane could have equaled Salah if it wasn't for 2 game weeks. So you guys have to remember, Mane played two less games last season. So, and they're only 20 points difference. So that 1 million enables me a Son, which I thought was a key player last week that didn't score, and no one jumped on him this week.
I wish that I had held true to my Mane pick in my wild card. I had him in for quite some time to save up 1 million, but I think after speaking to Steve and a few other people, it was kind of like Salah was just too big of a name to leave out the team, and if I could squeeze that extra 1 million, I could just probably upgrade. But I think Mane, it's going to be a debate that's going to be had in all different FPL forums going forward. Mane versus Salah, or both. I mean, revert back to last season where people had Mane and Salah in. Could definitely happen again. The template could shift. The thing is, the likes of Son as well. Obviously now De Bruyne blanking. Will people rage transfer out Man City? It's yet to be seen. But there are fickle people in the FPL community that will see that 1 point from De Bruyne and swap him out.
Yeah, it's always people like that. But I think the top quality players in this game are they hold their assets when they need. That's
the thing. Like I believe in patience now. I'm not going to be. I've done my dramatic panic wildcard, so to speak, that everyone talked about, but now I'm just going to be patient with it and see where I go from it. So, but thank you ever so much, Philip, for coming on, and we'll hopefully speak to you tomorrow night again, myself and Steve-O, and we'll get a few more callers. Thank you. We've got Chab in the waiting room. Let's bring Chab on. Good evening, Chab. You're now live on air with myself, Jason, on the Elite FPL Call-In. It's a Saturday night reaction to today's games. It's a lot of disappointment in the FPL community. Are you one of those disappointed FPL managers?
So, not too bad of a game week, to be perfectly honest. I certainly did a lot better than I would have if I kept my team from the last game week, so I'm happy with the transfers I made.
Do you want me to get up on the league, or are you able to post it in the RMT?
Yeah, if you could get it up.
Whereabouts are you, buddy?
In the league, I'm about 20 or 34th before the updates, something like that.
Yeah, let's have a look for you. FPL Chavin, don't be so rude. That's you, isn't it? Yeah, that's you.
Indeed, yeah.
Right, okay, let's bring him up. Right, so 57 points with a -8. That's a good score, isn't it? That's a good score. I mean, you've pretty much you've well above the game week average. Well above the game week average. You've captain failed, so you've kind of come out at the other end with a bit unscathed, haven't you? Really, after that awful City result.
Yeah, it was. It was rather lucky, but obviously Salah was going to be my other choice. I should have captained him. Again, got the wrong choice. I'm pretty happy with.
I think you've got to be nothing but happy really with that team. And how are you feeling going forward with that team? Is there any players in there who you're not happy with?
Zinchenko, I'm a little bit worried about now.
I don't think he's
and
been.
Dan James maybe, but
the more I think about it, Pep can't bring Mendy back yet. He's not ready. I think it could be on the cards. Of course, it's on the cards, but I just think it'd be a bit too soon. It's not going to be.
He's not exactly the most defensively strong either.
Exactly.
Mendy's much, so.
He's more haphazard. He's more haphazard in defence than Zinchenko, and that's saying something. I mean, Zinchenko had a bit of a shocker today, and yeah, I think Pep shouldn't be too rash to kind of just throw Mendy into the team without match practice, match fitness. So, yeah, I think. I mean, if you're happy, I think just again, it's to me, I just don't see anything in that team that needs really taking any action. I think just save the transfer if you can. There's nothing.
I think I will.
There's nothing screaming out in that team to me that needs changing at all.
No, well, like I said, my transfers really made the difference. Apart from Foster, who hasn't played yet, so I don't know what he's going to get. I had Zuma. Obviously, he didn't play out of the three central defenders that did. Ings obviously came on. Martial, who didn't play, and Wickham also got injured. So I got 3 players out who didn't play. So that was pretty lucky.
No, you've got to be really happy with this game week, and I mean, a green arrow for you. I would imagine. Whereabouts exactly are you? Let's have a look. You are in the overall. Yeah, you can have a green arrow. Surely at 333. Have you done a live rank? Have you checked your live rank on there?
The live rank 294. So
yeah,
got 40k.
Mate, I'm just getting red arrows week after week. So I mean, you've got to be. You've got.
One thing though, I did actually lose my head-to-head this week. Unfortunately, I was against Manchester Reds Terence, and congratulations to him. He had a great week.
Is it a definitely loss? Is it? Obviously, he's got Dino in his team, is he?
Hasn't got Dean in his team. I've got it in a tab here a second.
You might see.
He has.
Barring a miracle, how much away were you? Let's have a look. Bring it up.
On live points, let me find it for you. Live points.
I wonder where I am.
73 minus 4.
Let's see where I am on my head-to-head. Oh yes, that's you. You're not going to beat that, are you?
Fabianski and Maitland-Niles to play. So
I'm just going to see where I am currently on the matches. Let's have a look. So I am against Clement Leroux. No. Yes. I'm against Scoregasm FC, Clement Leroux, who also wildcarded. Oh my god. No way, Clement Leroux. Are you watching Clement Leroux? Oh,
he had a pretty bad week, didn't he? I have checked that.
Oh my god. He's got Pookie first sub. Who isn't going to come on? I don't think. Yeah, unless something happens with Ceballos or something, I don't see Pookie coming on for him. So yeah, he's got to be gutted. I must admit, I've had a bad wildcard week, but Clement must be really fuming at his team.
To play, still got Dean, Lanzini, and Ceballos to play, so he could claw something back.
He could claw something back, yeah, definitely. Unless Iwobi gets something, which is very fine margins. But Chab, thank you for talking about your team, and hopefully you'll come on tomorrow night and we'll just review again. I don't think you need to do anything. I think you should save a transfer, and we'll hopefully catch you up later on in the week.
Thanks, Jason.
Cheers, buddy. Have a good weekend, mate. I'll speak to you tomorrow, hopefully.
Yes.
Take care, mate.
Yeah, will do.
Let's bring on Charlie. Good evening, Charlie. Are you eating something?
No, I'm not. No, I was just about to make a fag, but I point.
Oh, you can hold off for a few minutes, I'm sure. How you doing? You're live on air at the moment, buddy, and we're talking about this game week that's a bit disappointing for a lot of FPL managers. Seen a lot of people in Discord angry about this benching of Kevin De Bruyne. Pep got it wrong. Would you agree? Pep got it wrong? Or did Norwich have a game plan and they just completely blew City away?
Yeah, I think. I mean, you can obviously you can say that. Obviously, De Bruyne is a massive difference, but they still, with the amount of money and the quality Man City got, they should be beating Norwich. But I think defensively, I think Norwich just got at them because that's what you got to do in Man City. A lot of teams,
they sit back.
They're just they just sit back and let Man City just play around them. But if you go at them like Norwich did, and you got the likes of Mr. Pookie in your team, you're gonna score goals.
Well, I did have.
Yeah, I can't believe that you had Pookie, Abraham.
I had Mane at one point as well. I had Mane in that team as well. I mean, it's just one of those. I mean, it's ifs and buts, isn't it? But basically, it's fine margins. It's like I keep saying. It's you know, I wouldn't have thought that Pookie would have done what he did today. I was quite naive in thinking that Norwich were going to just capitulate and the floodgates were going to start to open for City, and it would have been like, what did I say, 8-0? I think.
Yeah, 8-0, yeah.
I know Steve-O said 6-0. A lot of people in chat were saying 4 and 5-0. So there was a lot of people that kind of went with that whole scenario that Norwich would just basically lie down on their sword and it would just be a goal fest for City. But well done to Norwich. And all I'll say, if there's any Norwich fans in the chat or watch back on the replay, I mean, serious respect.
Yeah, fair play to them.
I mean, with all the injuries they have, and they completely took the game to City and shocked them with their game plan. Just basically knew that City would try to break them down, pass the ball around them. Norwich knew. They went there and they broke on the counter attack. They were too much for City. They pressed well in the first half and well deserving of the win, in my opinion. Well deserving of the win. But your team, Van Dijk, Alexander-Arnold, 2-2. I mean, this is it. This is again fine margins. The 7.1 million that's in value of Alexander-Arnold. Matip got the same return for me as both Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold. 2 points. And obviously, again, it's Liverpool's inability to basically get a clean sheet, isn't it? I think it's a common thing where like people are saying that it's got to be that you should have money in the defenders, but there's not many clean sheets at the moment that are not consistent anyway with teams, and it's you're kind of banking on attacking returns, aren't you? You really are, especially with the likes of Digne, Alexander-Arnold, Robertson. James, bit of a disappointment for me. How are you feeling about Dan James? Oh, and he's gone. That's why he's gone all quiet. Let's bring on... Hopefully we can get him back. Let's bring on Pegasian. Good evening, Pegasian. We just lost Charlie there, so I'm going to bring you on. How are you doing this evening?
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Just turn your speakers down a little bit for me. Okay. That should be a little bit better. Bit more?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just hearing my voice back. That's the problem at the moment, Pegasian. So I'm gonna have to take you out. I'm afraid I'm hearing a bit of feedback. Let's bring in Happy Dude. Happy Dude Geneva. We'll get you on the air now. We'll talk about your game week, and for the people just joining, I wildcarded this week. I was very excited for the Manchester City, the Norwich Man City game. I set my team up for a Man City avalanche, and it didn't really pay off. Am I really despondent and gutted about it? No, I'm a little disappointed, but I'm taking the positives out of it. That I've got a good team for next week, and I'm not going to be, crawling into a ball anytime soon and wishing that FPL would go away. FPL Penguin incinerated. Why? What's what's going on with FPL Penguins. Where's the Pookie cardboard cutout? No, it's right. Okay, it's not incinerated, but I probably will just give this out. I'm going to give this away. I'm going to give this away to somebody. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Whether we'll do it in the predictions, maybe the predictions league on the website. So this month, the prize this month for the prediction league on the website is a Pookie Train shirt. So next month the prize will be this cutout of Timo Pukki. So this anyone that can sign up on our website elitefpl.com, put in your score predictions. If you come top for the month of where are we now, October, you'll get this cutout of Timo Pukki. And who knows, we might make some more cutouts as the season goes on. There you go. That's my October prize sorted. Palace got destroyed today. Yeah, they did. And so many people brought in Van Arnholt, didn't they? Feels bad, man. Newcastle had one chance, yeah, but they took it and they scored a banger of a shot. Liverpool's defence still looks good, but it's an easy goal. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Yeah, TA wasn't the best position to defend that, but then I don't think he expected Williams to cut in and just smash the ball into the top right-hand corner, to be fair. Let's bring on Happy Dude Geneva. Happy Dude Geneva, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hello there, good evening. We're talking about Gameweek 5. We're talking about the highs and the lows. I'm certainly in the lows. Whereabouts are you standing?
Game week. I played a similar wild card to you.
Okay.
And we spoke before,
Yeah.
I think yesterday.
Did you stick with it?
And I stuck with it. I actually did a little punt, taking out Sterling, putting in and Silva, because I felt that David Silva scored 2 times 10 points in the last 2 game weeks. So, and Firmino is such an integral part of that attacking, and he's the one that's really setting up all the generous one. So I did that, but then just 5 minutes before deadline, I heard that he was being benched. So I made a quick move to put Sterling back in and as a cover. So I would have scored an extra 7 or so points from that. But anyway, so it's fine.
Wow,
it was a bit of a punt in the first place.
That is really backfired. Well, it backfired with Origi. I mean, it's wow.
That's fine. I'll have to move him out for the next game week. But overall, I'm happy. I scored 38, which is below average, but did 5 million. I've shifted 5 million out of defense to use into attack. So into midfield
there's going to be people in chat and in Discord, and I can just hear them now that it's exactly the same as with the criticism that I got, was that you haven't got any money in defense. How do you expect to get a good point haul in your defenders? They're cheap and horrible, and that's what you'll probably get from this team. And I mean, other than Robertson this week, who really can we say has returned points?
Well, I did. One of the other objectives of this game, of this wild card, was to get Wan-Bissaka and De Gea out.
Well, Wan-Bissaka. I mean, that's
and they just delivered. So. But anyway, I mean, I did the math, and basically, I would have scored 45 with my old team. I've shifted. The objective was to shift that value into midfield and attack. So I've done that. I was happy to see that, at least for me, that move from TAA to Matip was a safe one. And now, and the other thing, the objective was to get Salah in. So
are you playing with a bit of paper or something?
Am I playing with a bit of paper?
Or scratching a bit of paper or something?
No, might be my beard.
Oh right, it could be a beard then. I was just hearing. I was just like the chat was saying like they could hear like a scratching noise, and they thought you may have been scratching your beard.
It's
Okay, no
the
worries.
microphone on my beard. Sorry, guys.
Oh, don't worry, it's fine. I was just wondering. Okay, anyway, back to the task at hand. So yeah, Origi will have to be taken out. We've got a replacement.
I already taken him out.
Already?
Yeah, I've put in Abraham.
Tammy Abraham. Okay, that's.
I mean, I'm also playing for value as well. I want to get their upside on any value coming in.
Oh, believe you me, he's going to be brought in en masse. He was brought in en masse last game week. I brought him in. I probably will rue some of the decisions I've made, especially when it comes to Pookie and Abraham. I'm relying on Dan James and I'm relying on Iwobi, and
I think James will pull through. I mean, he's been pretty consistent.
I think didn't have the best game today, though. I don't think. Picked up a yellow card as well. His bonus points were pretty low. I haven't seen the highlights. I'll watch them again. I know that he's all about his pace, but looking at the bonus points, obviously after the yellow card, he was on -3 bonus points. So without watching the game back, I'm assuming he didn't have the best of games. But your team, I mean, yeah, Tammy Abraham in that team. I mean, I think you're pretty set going forward. Barnes for the fixtures. Dan James is a differential. Salah, Sterling, De Bruyne, Aguero for the Watford game. Yeah, it's yeah. I think you don't have to worry. No, just don't take a hit and just enjoy the rest. Well, I would say enjoy the rest of the game week, but it's over now for you, isn't it?
It's over for me. That's as much as I'm getting.
Yeah, but you've got yeah, but you've got a great team for next game week. So yeah, stick to that. And it's an absolute pleasure to speak to you this evening. Thank you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Happy to Geneva. Thank you, buddy. Cheers. Let's bring on Anderson. I don't think I've spoke to Anderson before. I could be wrong. Good evening, Anderson. You're currently muted and deafened. If you could just unmute yourself, that'd be great. Hey, Jason. Teddy. Hello, Teddy. I don't know if expensive defenders, Lundstrom, Zinchenko, Digne. I have Son, Mane, KDB, and Captain Sterling. The pain is just too much. Pain is just too much, Mr. Teddy. Hello, good evening, Anderson. How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you, Jason?
I'm not too bad considering the circumstances. I mean, it's been a pretty dreadful game week for me post the wild card, but it's done now. I don't have to have the trials and tribulations of having to go through the nightmarish thought process of selecting a wild card. How's your game week been, Mr. Anderson?
It's not doing great, but it happens, right? What can you do about it?
It happens all the time on FPL. You have a good week, you have a bad week, but it's just how you mentally deal with the bad week. Certainly, I won't be doing any sudden knee jerks, especially after the result, after the wild card. Have you posted your team, Mr. Anderson? I keep calling you Mr. Anderson.
I haven't, but it's on your cash league.
Whereabouts are you?
17th right now.
Let's bring you up.
FC. But I don't have a girl.
Oh, Aguero FC. Okay, cool. Yeah. Right. So, is it on the screen for people to see? No, it's not, but it will be now. 30 points with wildcard played. Firmino in your... Yeah, that's... Firmino's worked out for you. Mason Mount. Pepe still to play. Allaire still to play. You know what? That's... I've got a feeling... I know I had a feeling with Aguero, but I've got just a feeling that Arsenal is going to do well against Watford tomorrow. And Pepe, I was saying at pre-season, I was saying when Arsenal signed Pepe, that to me Pepe looked like a player that people would be bringing in on their first wild card, and you've kind of done that.
Yeah, because my team was pretty template beforehand, so
yeah, and you're looking to make some gains with differential picks, but whilst keeping some of the highly owned players at the same time. I think for me the biggest thing there is just relying on Firmino. And to be fair, he was the heart and soul of the Liverpool attack. He was, when he came on, he was pretty damn amazing at the flicks and his positioning in that game, setting up Salah with that beautiful flick. And yeah, I think I think if you're going to go without Mane and Salah, having the Firmino in, I don't know if it will cover the points, but it will certainly make it be more at ease.
Yeah, exactly.
Barnes has got great fixtures. Ayer's a great player playing in a strong attacking West Ham team. Yeah, I think again another person that's come on tonight without really any fires to put out in their team. I would say it's wait and see on Pepe for me though. I don't think he hasn't done enough, but it could be this game where people start to think, hang on, I need to get him in my team. But with the likes of Son doing really well today, I think it's going to draw people's attention away from Pepe. So it could be one that flies under the radar for a lot of people, and if he does well, it's going to benefit you greatly.
I hope so, because the ownership is like 3% right now. So
oh yeah, I mean that
okay,
ownership is just absolutely amazing for a player of his quality in an Arsenal team of their. I mean, they have got attacking talent. There's no two ways about it. But I hope tomorrow, if you do have time tomorrow evening, come on, we can talk about Pepe and how Arsenal played.
I'll try to, but like it's pretty late.
Yeah, you're in the States, aren't you? It's like early morning, right?
No, I'm not in the States. I'm actually in Hong Kong. It's like 4 in the morning here.
Oh, okay. Hong Kong, 4 in the morning. Okay, so it's wow. Oh wow, I should have seen by the badge that you've got on your team. Actually, that's crazy. 4 in the morning, dude. So you have to stay up to watch.
I just got off work, so.
Wow. Well, hopefully don't stay up for too late and get some good sleep. And look forward to the Arsenal game tomorrow and get some good points. Thank you, Anderson. I don't think you need to do anything there with that team. I mean, you've set your team up pretty damn good. Another person that's come on without any fires. So. Yeah, it's good.
Sounds good. Nice talking to you, Jason.
Always a pleasure, mate. Cheers, dude. Thank you. Yeah. We're not going to be on for too much longer, guys. I didn't really plan to do a stream this evening. I just wanted to kind of react to the game week as best I could. Be honest about it. It's not been a great game week for me. For many others, it's been pretty average at best. I think we'll get a couple more callers on. We'll probably go through more tomorrow night, to be fair, after we get a bigger picture about the games that occur tomorrow. We'll get Jab T 1998. You can hear me, but you can't speak. There you go. You unmuted yourself. How you doing? Good evening.
Hello, sorry, just stopping the stream. Hi, how are you?
Oh, I'm super. Thanks for asking. Things considered.
No,
yeah. Have you posted your team in? Oh, yes, you have.
Yeah.
Right. So it's
very sort of average game week.
Oh, not for you. It's not been an average game week. You got 46 points. It's above average, my friend. That's.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I've just seen that.
yeah, that's above average. I mean, I'm below average.
It's been such a sort of up and down day. After the Liverpool game, it was like Salah's got 9 points. I'll take that. Very nice. And then everyone else, and like Pope and Dunk was 1-1, which was very frustrating.
I think again the King. It's interesting you've held on to King, but it could be one of these game weeks where Bournemouth show up. Fraser, King, Callum Wilson's ticking over anyway. But I'm thinking maybe at home to Everton, Bournemouth are back on the radar again. It could, and all those Digne owners get disappointed. Let's be honest. I've had a good dose of disappointment this week. I've had a good dose of disappointment, and if my luck continues, Digne ain't keeping a clean sheet. I hope
so.
So yeah, and with VAR, you never know, anything can happen. But King on penalties, as we know.
I get that. That's what kept him in my team. The fact he's on penalties.
Yeah, Lanzini away at Aston Villa. People were banging on about Lanzini, and I agree he's a decent option. I personally avoided getting him into my team. But, away at Aston Villa, I mean, anything really can happen in that game. People will have Haller in. He's going to be a great provider. He's got that attacking threat, and I think that, the rest of your team is pretty... I mean, the Dunk pick isn't going to... it's not a world changer, really. Have you got any thoughts of transfers, or are you just gonna?
I've been playing around, and I think this week I'm gonna stick it out. I think if King blanks, I might take a punt on another striker just because he's had so many blank weeks. But other than that, not really. I'm sort of trying to move stuff around because I like the look of Vardy sort of around game week 9. So I'm hoping to sort of make
yeah. Vardy's going to be really high on the transfers in game week 9. I'm looking here, and we've got Naufel, I think his name is. Thank you, Montoya, for not playing so Pukki can come in. I mean, we're going to see these fortunate first bench options of Pukki and Cantwell. That's why I'm getting a massive red arrow, because I doubted Norwich basically. Yeah. How dare
something I just feel about, because I know you just talked about Pepe, was if I take out Sterling, then I can get Son and Pepe in, which I'm kind of tempted by.
Do you really?
It's whether
it's Sterling, and he's blanked, but he's
I know.
He is in that level. He's at that level where he can just pull a hat trick out the bag.
I think next week against Watford, they're going to come out. They'll have a point to prove. So I'm going to captain Sterling then, because I feel like he's definitely going to pull something off next week.
I think give him another chance before you think about transferring him out. I'm certainly not taking any Man City out just yet. But a solid game week score. That's all I can say. I am jealous. Well done, and hope to speak to you at some point in the near future. Thank you, Jabti.
Yep. Thank you very much. Cheers.
King Tristar, you're live on air. You'll be the final caller this evening. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. How you doing?
Highs and lows of FPL. Whereabouts do you stand right now?
Overall rank, I have to quickly look. Might have gone down. Oh no, I've gone up like 500k. I was at 1.2 mil. I'm now at 740,000.
Well, on the way up. I'll be passing you on the way down. So we got 55 points with a very. I look at that 3-4-3. And the first thing that pops into my mind in that team is Son. 16 points. You've got on to a player that last season was pretty much essential, and I can easily see him just carrying on his form going forward. And you know, there's a thing that you can't have all the players, but Son, you know, at his price point, I couldn't afford to get him into my team. But I am jealous. You've got Richarlison. What made you hold firm with the Richarlison pick? Is it purely for budget?
No, I transferred him in this week because Martial was injured and I had 0.2 remaining, so I had to just pick somebody up, and I thought he might do something against Bournemouth, so I went for him, and I'm hoping that he can get something. I
certainly think there's going to be goals for both teams in the Bournemouth game, definitely. I think that both teams have got good, solid attacking options, and you know, I know that the Everton defence have been pretty good, but I just think I see both teams scoring, and I see you've got Coleman in there instead of Digne. I did that tactic, but I switched out at the last minute. But I mean, other than that, I mean, it's just it's a standard, isn't it? It's like the Lundstrom pick, the De Bruyne, Aguero, Firmino's worked out okay, but obviously you'd probably would have preferred having Mane in somehow. But you've got that Liverpool attacker in Firmino. I don't think he's going to keep up personally with the points that Mane and Salah can do, but he was, like I said earlier on in the stream, he was the heart and soul. He kind of pulled a lot of the strings today in attack for Liverpool, so you must be quietly confident with that. And Pukki just seems to be on this this run of, well, I know he blanked at West Ham, but I just think that he's, for the price point, he's well overperforming for the money you pay for him. And Wan-Bissaka sitting there on your bench, that's got to be sore.
It's annoying because Man United, 1 week they do bad, you get everyone out, then the next week they just surprise you and get a clean sheet and Rashford scores. It's just typical.
It is typical. I mean, I transferred Wan-Bissaka out and Rashford gets a penalty and Wan-Bissaka gets a clean sheet. It's just the way FPL is, and sometimes patience is key. And who knows where I would have been if I'd have... Well, we know I would have been at least 4 points better off if I hadn't a wild carded. That's obviously looking likely to be more because I'd have had Ceballos and over the top of that as well. So yeah, we'll wait and see. And I don't judge personally. I don't judge it on one game week anyway. But your team, I'm just not kind of over. I'm not a massive fan of McGinn. I know there are a lot of people that love McGinn because he's kind of the playmaker for Aston Villa, but I don't know. I've not really considered Aston Villa in attack at all.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, home to West Ham, it's a great differential for you, isn't it?
I'm just gonna keep faith in him for now. I mean, I was looking at Ceballos, but he's going up to 5.7 now, so I can't afford it. And I was thinking maybe dropping him down to like a 4.5 like Guendouzi and starting Campbell more often and switching between them to free up money, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet.
Well, you probably want to wait and see how McGinn does home to West Ham.
Yeah. Hopefully gets an assist or something.
Yeah, I see people don't be doing transfers just yet. If you can take the hit on the transfer, you know, there's midweek games that'll be played. There could be injuries in training. It's always best to wait, especially if you only got one transfer, to at least the press conferences before you make your moves, unless you're going to be 100% priced out. And don't wildcard to get Aguero. No, I'm joking. But no, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tristar, for coming on this evening. I don't think you need to worry about your team, really. I think just hold true. It's been a theme of people showing their teams this evening, and I just genuinely think that there's no real transfers to be done. I think everyone's set their teams up for these few game weeks, and hopefully tomorrow will give you good points with the Coleman and the Charleston picks, and I'm hoping that my pick of Iwobi will do well. That's a bit of a stretch, isn't it?
I think Iwobi will do good, but hoping Richarlison can do better, to be honest.
Cheers, King. I appreciate you.
Cheers.
Speak soon. Guys, I'm slightly over my time. I didn't want to be on for too long. I wanted to be about an hour, but we've ended up being an hour and a half, almost. I just want to say thank you for the feedback on the wildcard team over the last few days, good and bad. I took it on board. I listened to what you had to say. It's done and dusted now. I'm not going to get all disappointed and angry about it. At the end of the day, it's a game, and if you've had a bad game week and you're just here to just talk about your scores, you've come on air, or you want to come on air, we're back on tomorrow night. We'll do the Sunday surgery. It looks like I might need to be a patient of it, just to get off my chest how I really think about my players, and I hope to join you tomorrow night. And take care, everybody. Enjoy match of the day.
Just of interest, whereabouts are you? Not in the world, but are you near like an industrial machine or something? It's very 2 seconds. Just ask a couple of questions. I just needed to get the door for a second.
No problem,
this is what happens when you're live.
What's going on?
No, not really. I'm waiting to go to gym. What about yourself?
Live on YouTube doing a stream.
Why do you feel that you're constantly changing your teammate? Is it just there's just so many ideas?
So many ideas, so many different perspectives. I blame Brett Mollison for his 5 at back, because when you see my new team,
wow.
Brighton home, they couldn't buy a goal in the last season.
Well, I don't know. Dan's got Glenn Murray. I think he'll have a word to say about that.
I'm detecting possibly a German accent. I'm probably completely way out. But where are you calling us from?
South Africa.
On the first day, I literally just typed in FPL, like first draft, and yours came up like first. So I thought, oh, well, I'll watch one of the live streams when it comes on. And then I thought, this is a bit long, isn't it? About 2 hours in. And then 3 hours later, well, an hour later, I was like, yeah, these seem alright, you know. Steven's not that bad.
I have one question for you. I want you to predict the order of the Elite FPL ranking. So, like, who do you think will finish first, second, and third out of y'all three this season?
So it's certainly, no disrespect to Dan, but it's certainly going to be between me and Jason. And right now, as it stands, I'd go with Jason because my history suggests that I'm going to be having a bad season.
So I've got the 5 at the back. I just see a lot of value there.
I feel like if I don't have Salah, I can spread the money elsewhere and maybe get the points another way.
All the teams now, except for obviously Salah and Sterling, these players, a lot of players are going to change towards the start of the season just because of new transfers, injuries that could happen, and all of that. So for me to tell you now, like personally right now, I'd say definitely if Tammy Abraham or Batshuayi are cheap, I'd get one of them just because I don't care about the Man United. We can score against them at least 2 or 3.
Guys, this season we're using Discord. It's a text and voice application where you can talk all things FPL with fellow community members. You can post your team in the Rate My Team, talk in the general chat, you can look at transfer news, look at awesome GIFs, sign up for our Cash Mini League, look at our previous podcasts, and even join us live on air in one of our streams. We look forward to seeing you guys. Link is in the description, or look at the code on screen.